Yes, us journalists. Now, taking the discussion forward, we had sort of drama. Nick Mwendwa and his team literally pushed themselves back into office at Kandanda House, but in a rejoinder, Ambassador Amina Mohammed insists they are out of order in a very terse letter. Gentlemen, Arocho, we discussed this last week, but it seems it's taking a new dimension. Ambassador is not letting go. Nick, quite strong statements there. Is there a way out of this mess? Well,
I don't think the ambassador is not letting go. I think it's the law. Kandanda House and guys in Kandanda House need to respect the law. I think we had a government document that is a gazettement. I think it was on November 14th, if I'm not wrong, that pronounced itself against the Federation. I believe that if anything has to happen, then some document should annul whatever was done on the November 14th. So I was really surprised when I saw guys going to Kandanda House. And then the next day, I received some photos. I'll not say who sent me the photos. Policemen with their vehicles outside Kandanda House. I was shocked. But because the previous few hours before that, I saw guys go in, and I saw them being ushered in by policemen.
By policemen?
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
And the question is, you've raised a very important or pertinent issue here, is it's about the law. It's not what character A or B, C wants. But here we have the law enforcers, and we have them on screen. These are men who should follow law, but they led him there. They cut the kufuli, as I could call it, ushered him in, and they're literally the men who drove him out of that. What do you make of that?
You know, there's a misconception here. Policemen are not law in themselves.
But they are law enforcers.
No, I'm coming there. They are law enforcers. So even policemen can break the law. Because why am I saying so? The next day, the same policemen were there. But I think somebody somewhere tried to interfere with the system. And once again, I say it on this show, is that the guys at Kandanda House should be patient. They should consult, and they should listen more. Because if they consulted any kind of a lawyer, could have told them, guys, this cannot happen without a document. And I wish I was in that press conference.
Arocho,
I could have asked.
Okay. Let me ask you a question. Since November last year, they accused Nick Mwendwa of misappropriation of funds at the Federation. So he was forced to step aside. What has the prosecution done to make sure that they prove indeed that this guy was involved in misappropriation funds? Because for him to write to FIFA and for the DCS, there was no enough evidence to show that this guy was involved in it. So who is failing in this?
But you see, even the other day, he tried.
Let's
Nick Mwendwa
first.
Nick Mwendwa.
Let me say this. If I accuse you, Stella, of corruption, what do I need to do? Just prove that indeed, I'm not saying you're corrupt. I just need to prove that you were corrupt. Has the ministry proved that Nick is corrupt?
What I was...
Where is the evidence?
What I was trying to say...
I need to respond.
There are times I don't agree with Nick in some things. But this one, you fail to prove.
They are fresh development that I wanted to tie to your contribution that indeed Nick Mwendwa went to court to try and bar his prosecution. And I think the court denied his prayers.
The court ruled otherwise.
Yeah,
that must have been on Thursday.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
So, I mean, law is a process. It's not a one-day thing. And yes, I disagree with the investigators because they have taken far too long, a whole year. And by the time they arrested Nick Mwendwa, they should have had enough evidence
right?
to prosecute
because at the moment, as it looks, it's like it was witch hunt.
But the confusion now...
not the Federation.
You've arrested my point.
No,
I was building my point in this sense. I was responding to his question. I was giving you the analogy, the way the thing happened. We are mixing issues, Chanda. We were still talking about the incident at Kandanda House.
Yeah.
You know, there are two different issues.
Yeah.
The degazettement is an issue. The fact that Nick Mwendwa has not been proven guilty is another issue. And I support you. It should not take a year for the DCI to prove that Nick Mwendwa is guilty. But as much as we discuss that, we have a federation to run. And for football to move on, that federation must run, gentlemen. It must run.
But it's not running.
No, that's why I'm saying...
Your concern come in the fact that he jumped the gun and went to break into the office?
Yeah.
It's not even my concern. Because at the moment, Canada House is under police custody. It shows that whatever was done on Thursday or Wednesday was not in order. Guys, what I urge, guys, is let's be patient. The law takes time to... Because ultimately, Nick Mwendwa might be...
back.
No, not necessarily back, but might be cleared of all these allegations. And that's why I have a problem with the law. Because what happens if Nick Mwendwa is cleared? His name has already been tarnished. His reputation has already been tarnished.
That's where we call legal redress. Is an option available to him.
I come to attack you and accuse you of corruption. I need to have proper evidence that indeed you're corrupt.
Yes.
11 months and counting. You fail to prove. What will make you think that it's not witch hunt? And now, this is what I'll say. And I stand to... You will prove me, clip kata, Ibra. Nick Mwendwa is always a step ahead of the ministry. He knows something that these other guys don't know. Hii vita walianza bila strategy. Kumpiga. And that's why he has the confidence right to FIFA. There are things he's saying with a lot of confidence. But that the ban is going to be lifted very soon. But the league will start in 1 month's time. But at the end of all this, who is suffering?
Just told it there.
It's the players.
Right there, Kenda. And in this week, Shitera just told on, we had the Kenyan Premier League caucus, that's the clubs, and they had their CEOs in a meeting, and they made it clear we are not going to feature or participate in a recognized league. So basically what they're telling us is the caretaker-led committee is not recognized by CAF, is not recognized by FIFA, and rightfully so, we are not going to compete in it. Remember, this league, the kickoff has been pushed back twice. Actually, the third time in asking Shitera. Where does that leave us now?
They are right, because whatever they did last year has gone to drains, because no one is representing Kenya at CAF in the Champions League. They wasted their money in what you called as friendly matches. And I agree with them. We cannot spend money in something that does not have a face. And that is why I agree with Nick Mwendwa. But again, I don't agree with Nick Mwendwa in the process, as he says. Because, yes, FIFA does not recognize the caretaker committee. It recognizes the federation. It has laid down steps on how it will lift the ban on Kenya. And Nick Mwendwa, in my view, is making the right steps of trying to lift Kenya out of this mess that was created by the confusion between the Ministry of Sports and the federation. And in my view, the mandate of the caretaker committee was very clear. That one, you take charge of the Kenyan football as you prepare for an election. They have not done that. So in my view, they have failed in their mandate. They have renewed their terms severally, only to keep some individuals in office doing nothing. Because in my view, if our league is not recognized, they did nothing the whole of last season.
Just to pick there, before I leave, I'll forget the point that Shitera has brought. Guys, the caretaker, or whatever you call it, could not have done an election of football.
But that is, when they...
It was a wrong mandate.
No.
I want to explain that.
When they came to office, they clearly...
That was their mandate, yes.
Drew their mandate.
But it was a wrong mandate in this sense. Guys, FKF Federation was not suspended. We still have a constitution, not federation. FKF constitution was not suspended. And the FKF constitution stipulates quite clearly that the only person who can correct, amend, or even add a comma in that constitution is the members.
No, I'm talking about an election.
I'm coming there. I'm coming there. The caretaker committee is a stranger within the federation. They cannot come up with a constitution, because even if they come up with a draft constitution, it must be ratified by those very members.
No, that's a new...
What I'm just told on, we can hear from Kenda before he leaves for the bulletin.
This is what I want to say about the 11 chairmen for the Kenya Premier League clubs. that said that they're not going to participate in a league that is not recognized.
They were CEOs, not chairmen.
Yes,
yeah.
Officials. Those are the biggest cowards I've ever seen.
Yes.
Because for them to finish the league,
Where were they?
where were they? Well, the moment they realized
Thank you.
league got null and void, walikuwa wapi?
Thank you.
These chairmen, some of them have a feeling they don't understand even the football law.
Thank you.
You know, because if the league was null and void, why did you participate?
When did they realize?
Why did you spend money? Why did you waste resources in participating in the league? It means there's lack of unity.
Thank you.
Some of these guys are the same ones. You remember the broadcast deal? The chairman who refused to sign. Some of them were witch hunted big time because they had issues with the broadcast deal. But wengine walienda nyuma ya mgongo wakasign. Unakutana na chairman wa hii club anakuambia CEO ndiye alisign.
And Shimanuel, I think, was quite pronounced on this.
Yes.
Even the Zukericho chairman, Ochieng. Ulinzi, Gor Mahia. Kwa nini hawa jamaa ndio wanakuja sasa wanasema hatuta participate kwa league?
Waswahili wanasema
these people are cowards, or some of them don't understand the football law. So wache kupretend.
Yanda Waswahili wanasema kufanya makosa sio kosa, kurudia kosa ndio kosa.
The ignorance has no defense.
I think they have just realized that
11 months down the lane.
11.
And number two, as I said, we all celebrated the move of disbanding FKF. We thought that the ministry had a plan. You remember us discussing here. But we have come to realize that there was no plan. So as it is, we were all in that mess. The journalists, the club chairman, everyone. So you cannot tell me that I will blame the CEOs for participating in a league that was not recognized. We thought the ministry had a good plan to bring our football back on track. But as it has turned out to be, it was the worst mistake we ever did in our Kenyan football administration. And I think even the past committees and former ministers, Najib Balala, Maina Kamanda, ended up well, because when you are disband a federation, you keep your communication with the FIFA. Let FIFA guide you on what to do. We all saw what Maina Kamanda did when he disbanded FKF. He kept communication with FIFA, and FIFA advised on how we could have a transitional, a normalization committee and next to the elections. So I thought this is the same thing that Amina was doing, that after a caretaker committee, you need to be talking to FIFA to help you have a normalization committee, then an election as we take our football forward. But indeed, it was a clear indication that this was a creation of some individuals to occupy office doing nothing.
Arocho, in 30 seconds, just wrap it up. What's the way forward? There's the legal perspective, there's the political aspect of it. How do we get out of this?
My first statement is power is transient. Whoever cares to listen should go and look at the meaning of transient. But coming back to your question, I've said it more than once on this show. The solution of Kenyan football will be political. It will not be sorted in courts. It will not be sorted by committees. It will be sorted by the big boss. The president must take Kenyan football as his pet project. He needs to bring all these people together and tell them, and stamp his authority, tell them that we must have order. He must tell them, because either way you think about the courts, ultimately we'll waste time, we'll be in the football cold. But if you bring in the president, it will be solved within hours.
Arocho believes so. But now, still staying on football, we had not a positive development, so to speak, but others are questioning it. Gor Mahia, for the umpteenth time, unveiled a new shirt sponsor in under 3 months. New partner coming on board, we unveil it, 3 months down the line, they're out of the equation. Somebody comes in, we've severed the links again, we bring somebody on board. Shitera, a new partner, what do you make of the whole situation?
It's good for Gor Mahia because I looked at the deal. It's a very good deal if we have the Kenya Premier League back. But if you don't have the Kenya Premier League back on course, then it will only mean that the sponsor will pull out, as we have seen the others pull out. Because If I invest in something that is not or does not make sense to me as an investor, then I will not continue with that investment. And I think that is why, one of the reasons as to why the previous sponsors pulled out, or probably it might be because Gor Mahia got a lucrative deal, but you cannot pay me for sitting down and sleeping. There is no Kenya Premier League at the moment.
A very important point you are raising. You can't pay me sitting and doing nothing. The very new partners they've unveiled have been here before. They walked out on the club.
Yeah.
And the deal they signed favored them. And this is what I asked last time. Rachir is a top-notch lawyer. How come the club enters into deal that do not suit their interests?
Swilla, for lack of a better word, we are jokers. You move just to the next country, Tanzania. You cannot do this. You cannot walk out of a contract scot-free. I saw it when there's a club, I'll not name the club, changed their partner. Repercussions are there. Consequences of changing partners must be there. But kudos to, once again, to Gor Mahia and their new partner. I believe that they are going to give Kenya football a fresh breath. But once again, guys, let's stop joking. Football is not just a game. Football is big business. And anytime somebody is investing into the game, guys, let's be serious. I can afford to pardon the sponsor that is now with Gor Mahia, because what happened previously, what made them leave the scene was not of their control, because they didn't have a license and all that. We know what happened. But the sponsors that have been walking out of Gor Mahia, I say it without fear of contradicting myself, is that Gor Mahia are jokers, and those other sponsors are also jokers.
They must streamline the operations, be professional on how they run the club, because actually that's the underlying issue of the club.
Before you walk out of a contract, there must be consequences. And those consequences must be stipulated quite clearly before we move into that contract. Because how do we just sign a contract 2 months down the lane, I move away from that contract, and there are no consequences? There should be consequences.